calendar, find the Finance Committee agenda, and there's a link for the Zoom as well as the call-in number and ID for this. And with that, if we can stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I do not have any announcements. Does anyone else have any announcements? I gotta watch this to admit people. All right. And do we have any public comment from the public? Okay, do we have any public comment from the committee? All right, we're cruising. We have no finance manager nor finance director, so I do not suppose we will get a report. And for new business, we had the first tri-board meeting, finance committee, school committee, select board on Tuesday night. It went for about 2.5 hours. I listed in the agenda the topics we went over, kind of ground rules, discussion on consolidation, efficiencies and timeline, departmental growth, where they saw some growth maybe in town. They asked us for any specific requests from the tri-board, and then a discussion on financial management and best practices. After this meeting, the next sessions will be pretty targeted. They're probably going to go a little bit longer. There'll be presentations from the staff. So this one really just got us going and made sure that we had an opportunity to get what's on our mind out there. If there was ideas for consolidation, it was quite a discussion on that, or any other specific requests. So with that, I'll turn it over to the board if there's any additional comments that we want to make, just as a board here. It is on YouTube, so it was uploaded Wednesday morning, so you can watch it if you're so inclined, and you get the option of going 1.5 speed or 2 speed, so you can watch it a little faster if you want. So,
do you know what it's called?
If you go to Lunenburg Public Access,
okay,
it's pretty easy to find. If you can't find it, let me know, Mike, and I can help you.
Well, Chris, do you have any comments about the meeting?
Yeah, so just, in general, I thought, I didn't know what to expect going into the meeting. It was kind of a new idea. I thought the meeting went really well, to be honest with you. I think we got some topics out into the open. There was some disagreements on some issues that were kind of discussed. I think in the end, even those that maybe if there were some discussions like on consolidation of facilities, I think some people think it's a good idea, or others don't think it's a good idea. I think we'll continue to talk about those at a future time. That was one that was brought forward as something to pursue at least. I thought it was a good discussion, good healthy discussion amongst all three boards. So,
Okay.
So yeah.
You asked people for their comments, but you didn't offer one, so
Yeah, no, that's fine.
yeah. I think you summarized pretty well.
Okay.
Well,
Do we need like a booster seat?
About me? I mean, I'm interested to suss out the relationship between the school committee and the town and what that looks like. I think with all the new players in the game, I think it's going to improve. I see a good outcome with the people that were there. Maybe it's just the first meeting and people are afraid to really get down into the weeds, but everybody seemed open to be talking about things. And as long as, people don't take it personally if things don't go their way. Not everything's going to go everybody's way, so I think we're going to be fine. I think we have a great town manager. I think we have some really good school board members and some really good town council members and the awesome finance team, so I think it's going to go well.
Great. Any other? I know two of you worked there, but Jay or Jean, anything?
No, I just, go along with what Tanya said. I think in one way, it's important to know what the school and the school committee, what their gripes are. Because once you know things like that, it makes it easier to address them and be able to work them in to a consolidation plan. So I think the more that they can share with us, the better that's going to be.
Jay, Annie?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. All right, the next topic we had on here was budget request forums and department briefing expectations. We talked a little bit about this on Tuesday, but I do think, we need to give direction, I think, to the school committee as well as the other departments as to what additional expectations we have as it relates to their budget presentations going into next year. So this was one of the items also mentioned as part of the tri-board. I think Ezzy and Jen are kind of coming up with what this should look like, more consolidation. They're going to start using ClearGov, which I think will help. One thing that Jen had told me offline was that it may take a while to build up the history in there, so maybe in 3 to 5 years it will be very powerful, but at least for now it should drive towards consistency of data and that sort of thing. For the most part, I think the budget presentations on the needs are pretty good. I think the schools needs to get back to where they were when Michael Cassidy was here. But if we can go with a similar format for everything, I think that helps everyone. It's easier to follow. You make sure that you're doing everything, is this the town manager's requested budget or your requested budget? Consistency is good. Sometimes we've had differences in even that kind of thing.
So, a lot of times we talk about templates as a way to make it clear. But in my mind, and I can totally see how a template would be, certain for certain data points to be important. But every department have their own unique set of data. So, the police and the fire, they usually have how many calls they have. The, RAC department would be how many people they served, how many people came into Town Beach, year over year. I think a good way to help them, if I were to be asking, someone to present me, I would give them a set of data that I wanted to see. And, and whatever, until people come up with a template, sure. But my first priority would be, these are the data points I want us to see. And I think for the schools, they have to realize they pretty much have every town department are replicated under the schools, so they need to come up with a very unique set of data for their own sub-departments.
Yeah.
My recommendation would be to come up with a list of data points for each department. And I'm not really good with making templates and making things pretty, but that would be my recommendation on that sense.
Okay. No, that's good.
I agree with Anna. I think the program that we're going to be using, I think we have an opportunity to put those templates in and what we want, correct? What the finance team is going to put in what we want. Yep. And then they're going to be able to upload it, all the departments, into this one program instead of having this as a PowerPoint, this as a, spreadsheet. It's going to be one across the board way to collect data. But we are going to have a say in what we want to collect.
Right.
So we have to decide what we want to see, right?
Okay.
And I think that's where you come in, that's one of your strong points.
Yeah.
So one thing,
Jay has something
Jay
to
has
say.
something to
what-
say.
What do you, when you sound like you're trying to create a template?
No, not per se, but, so, you know, just the examples that I gave, right? Like school and police and fire, the biggest data point is really calls over the years and staff over the years, how those two intersect. Yeah. Rec department, you know, what are they serving, how many people, like, and we can go on, like PAC, they have, how many meetings they have broadcasted, how many programs they have created, what's the viewership. So I think every department, it's not a template, it's really just, hey, for your department, these are the basic data points that the finance committee would like to explore. You know, for sewer, your accounts receivables, you know, pretty much like just really making sure we have this data point that we have. The accounts receivables was one that we saw was, you know, in the last year. And afterwards, we got information that, well, you actually been always at this level for the past couple of years. So that is what I'm talking about, just data, what data they're presenting to us.
It's not a template, it's
Right.
a portal to submit their budget, their annual budget. So they put their information, everybody puts their information into a portal. And then we create what we want to see inside that portal and what we're going to require them to
Who's
submit.
creating this portal?
I think
Is
the
this
town,
something
it's
that's gonna be
a,
I think that the town will.
yeah, it's an already created portal that a lot of towns already use to submit
okay.
budgets. So town manager will open the portal and customize the portal, and then we will decide what we want to see, and departments will put that in.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, no, it's fine. If the town manager is going to create this and then distribute it, so all the departments are getting it and understand, you know, what it is and where to upload it.
And I'm hoping there'll be a training associated with that. There probably will be a training for department heads on how to use the portal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So is this like a software program,
Yeah.
something we got to download?
yeah.
So do we want to, like, for us, start creating, you know, set of data that we'd like to see from all the departments?
I think so, yeah. We have a document that we did a couple years in a row, a few years, on what our expectations are. So we can find that and start with that, make sure we have everything covered in there. There's also like some best practices that are out there. If you look through the Mass Financial Association, I forget the exact name, which we can all have access to. There's like things like a best budget presentation of the year award that's given through the state and stuff like that. So we can do that. But, you know, to me, you want to have, you know, an overview of your organization. You want an org chart. You want staffing, historical and projections. You want those relevant data that you talked about. And then obviously you want the budget. I think also in there is kind of like a, what's my 5-year plan, right? Am I looking to stay steady with my organization? Am I looking to grow my organization? Am I looking to add services, remove services? And at what time frame should we do that? So I think if you have that discussion year over year over year, and it may change every year, at least we have an understanding of, you know, okay, this isn't a surprise to me that you're looking to you know, as we talked about, make the rec director go from half-time to full-time, to bring the fourth shift into the fire department. For a while, the police department was looking to add officers. I think now they're on a let's stay flat plan. Those are all good things to have. So we should probably, work with Jen and put it on paper. I think she's already doing some of it. I'll have to talk with her. But that was one of the things that she was hoping to nail down now, because the departments are starting to pull together
Right.
their budget for the year, for next year.
So the action item on this is you're going to talk with Jen?
I will talk to Jen, and maybe by next meeting, start to jot down your ideas, and if she has something already, I'll circulate it.
Okay, can you recirculate the document that you said was created a couple years ago?
I did, and I sent you guys an email today on that.
Oh, okay.
And that's actually the next topic. So the town finance policies, it's actually a policy document that was put together under grant by the Division of Local Services. It's online, it's in our SharePoint. I asked Jen if I had the actual latest. I may not, but it is rather long. It's like 90 pages or something, 89 pages. Some of them may not relate to us, but a lot of them will.
Should those things that don't relate to us be stricken from the policy?
I mean, I think the only ones that might not is like the capital planning related ones, but we still may have inputs into it. So again, I think I have the latest. It's good beach reading, like I said in my email. So print it out and go to the beach and read it and make some comments. What will happen is we will vote on it, and then the select board will vote on it, is kind of the way that financial policies have come into play. I think this took best practices as well as existing policies and tried to kind of combine them into one. So like our debt borrowing limits are reflective of our existing policies in here. So that is one ask from Jen, that we start to look at this and take a position on it. It's also a goal for the select board or the town manager for this coming year.
What's your plan for us doing that?
Well, so it's like 90 pages. I think if we had it by the, I don't know, what do you think? Like maybe September-ish timeframe, having it voted on? Is that reasonable?
Well, I mean, so when did you say September? We can take it into chunks and discuss a small chunk every meeting. So we can set up a goal to, see how many meetings between now and September, and say, let's discuss a third. I'm just saying, if we have 3 meetings, which I think we have more, we can do it that way, so that way we stay, we have small conversations about specific topics. That's one way to do it.
It looks like there's 22 in the table of contents, kind of policy areas. So 4 meetings would put about 5 per, right?
And my recollection of this, when we got it last year, was I didn't go through it with a fine-tooth comb, but I remember reading through it, and it goes down into the nitty-gritty in some cases, which I think is good. I was always, since I don't know enough about how the day-to-day operations are run, I'm not sure if those are right or not. So I'd have questions for like the director of finance, how would this actually work, or is this okay? Do you have these people? Is this the way you do it now? Those are the kind of questions I had, but it. There wasn't anything that I remember reading going like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so, and even with that, like financial planning is probably more where we're involved
Right.
versus financial operations. So why don't we do this? Why don't I recommend that for the next meeting, everyone has read at least the financial planning aspects of it, which is about 40 pages, and have a general discussion on it. I may not be at the next meeting, but, you know, hopefully we have a quorum. Have a general discussion on it, and then let's take notes, any recommendations, and try to have for the meeting after that a more, you know, targeted, let's try to approve that portion of it discussion. And then we can do the same thing for the financial operations.
So read and discuss on the next meeting up to page 39.
Yeah, well, through overlay, whatever. Maybe
Yeah.
it's up to 42,
Gotcha.
yeah. Does that seem reasonable? Okay. All right, anything else on either forms or town finance policies? All right, the next on the agenda, old business, was any residual discussions on analysis of historical school budget data? I know we talked a bit about it last time.
Yeah, so since our last meeting, and I want to thank Tony Scalambrini Jr. I don't know if he's a junior, but I know his dad is a Tony Scalambrini, so I'm just going to call him a junior for now. He had offered to put me in touch with the previous superintendent, and he requested her to give me all the data that I had requested, and he proposed a meeting. I attended the meeting. Unfortunately, we're in California? Is that
No,
New York. Okay. It was a daytime meeting, and I went to the meeting. We talked about that she would give me some data based on the request that we had back in March. Like that request that we had in March has not been fulfilled. And they created a shared folder. I received their shared folder, and nothing was ever added there outside what we already had. Since then, the previous superintendent has left. And then this week I received an email from the new superintendent. And she wrote, and I want to give her kudos for that. So if it's okay, I just want to read. It's a very short, one-paragraph email. She said, "Hi, Anna. I wanted to take a moment to let you know how much I appreciate your comments from last night." She was talking about the meeting on Tuesday. "We shared the same goal of wanting transparency and restoring trust in the school department. I was wondering if you'd be open to for a call or meeting." So we exchanged a couple emails. So I appreciate her wanting to, increase transparency and restore the trust in the school department processes. I don't think there's money missing from the schools. I think it's, some of the issues I talked about on Tuesday evening. So I'm going to try to connect with her next Tuesday. And again, we just need to make sense of the flow of money within the school. And the biggest problem, I honestly don't know if they know what's going on. To the detail, I would know if it was my business.
Yeah.
And I think part of the problem is they present the budget in one way, and the biggest part of the budget, 2/3 of their budget, is staff. The way they maintain their staff and they manage that allocation is internal to them. And the way they report to the state is a third different way. So, and they also, and within that, there are several revenues that is not clear and visible to us, which is grants. They have a lot of recurring grants. They have reimbursement grants. And then they have their revolving accounts. That is also not clear to us. That's not part of our, So I think, they ran into some trouble this past fiscal year because of their lack of controls of some of these things. And by the way, it's not unique to them. I think when Carter first came in, he identified that the revolving account that's used to pay for the TCP building repair and maintenances, and that was a revolving account because there was revenue coming into it. That was $90,000 in the negative. And Carter made addressed that, I think, during the last fall town meeting. So I appreciate that, and I think that's what we want. We just want to, clarity. We just wanted to understand, and and then we can dive on to the concerns that I have. I mean, you guys remember that our last budget season, I said a big concern I have is when we don't have this visibility into these grants that we receive. If they go away, the town is expected, like, we are used to these services, right? If the federal government or state government takes away those things, now the children are going to be without lunch, are going to be, so much. So it's important to bring these things up front so that we know. And I think it just strengthens our community, our information. And of course, we're going to want to, kids to have lunch. And so, at the end, my goal is to help everyone feel good about what we are doing and continue supporting the schools. So I'm hoping I'll be able to connect with the superintendent. I have not given up on that goal of having clarity on all the finances, and hopefully we'll be able to create a good partnership.
Okay.
My concern is they don't have a finance manager, so I don't see this getting better. Is it possible for our town finance manager to step in that capacity until they hire somebody? Because how long is this going to take? I don't think the superintendent is a finance person.
Right.
She runs schools. So I don't see us coming out from behind this without somebody managing the finances on the school section.
The previous, at some point they had talked about, I guess you're really not saying anything, Mike. They had talked before when Mr. Cassidy was here, and he left, and they didn't have anyone for a while. They did hire eventually a consultant.
Okay.
That they were here for a few months, and then, so, that is a really good point.
They need to do that.
Yeah.
They definitely need to do that. I don't think we're going to get anywhere without somebody looking at the finances with you and all
With
together.
It's not even me, it's like,
Yeah,
I agree.
agree.
It's the community, and, and as it can be a great resource as well. So
And I read the job description, I read the requirements, I know the salary, and I don't know, you're going to get what you got before for that, which wasn't good. So we have to figure out how to get ahead of it. A consultant might be a very good idea until they do hire somebody, because I don't think nobody's going to do it.
Yep.
Unless Ezzy's going to do it, and that's not fair either.
Right, and that is a fear that they have.
Ezzy has, I don't blame him.
Right, but in the end, it ultimately is, we need to deal with it.
It's asking too much of this superintendent
Yep,
or anybody else in the school department to run that. And if you don't do it properly, garbage in, garbage out. And that's
Yep.
kind of what we might have seen. I don't know. We did have 2 years ago, when there was nobody physically there, it was much messier than it needed to be, because it was the superintendent putting together spreadsheets, and it was just not done well, and the town was suffered for it. Maybe, and I don't know financially, but it was a lot harder to do than it should have been. So definitely, I think we should be supporting the schools on getting a handle on those things. The other thing was, when we're talking about before the budget forms and all that, it should be income and expense. We care about expense, but where's the income coming from?
Right.
So anything that's justified, whether it's, fee income that they're getting or it's grants, and that should be in there so that we can see it and understand it. And then we can ask questions of, is this a 1-year thing or a 10-year thing, or we've got it for the last 50 years and we're probably going to get it for the next 50. Those are all important things that, we would like to know.
Okay, and we did talk about that a little bit at the Tuesday's meeting, is that when we project the budget, we should be talking more than just what the raise and appropriate is. We should have understanding of the grants and the, reserve funds and other sources of revenue.
Is it within our jurisdiction to request that they hire an interim or a service to run or start the financial process for the school board? And secondly, when they do go into the hiring interview process, is it possible that one of us on the finance team can be involved in that process so we can ask questions that we know we want to answer?
Yeah, so I think the superintendent hires that role.
Okay.
So you can always ask anything, is what I say, right? So potentially, yeah, we could ask. I think they're well aware of their, the issues that they're facing staffing-wise and turnover-wise, so. Tony's very approachable, too. If any of you want to reach out to Tony directly, I don't have a problem with that either.
Yeah, I'm not sitting next to him next meeting. He's a chatter.
He passes notes, too.
And he passes notes. And I get into trouble with that. It's like not
I haven't
cool.
had a note passed to me in
Does the
so
school
long.
not have a financial consultant?
I don't know if they have hired one because their previous one just left June 30th, I think.
Because the contract ran out, or?
I don't know if she got another job, but they used to have one, which was Dr. Gilson.
Right, for
She's-
1 year she was here.
She was here for 1 year. She's gone.
She's no longer with them. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else related to that? All right, next on our agenda, we have minutes from 5/8 and 6/12. Have folks had a chance to review those?
Yep.
All right.
No.
Any issues or comments with them? All right. I would entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved?
Second?
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
I'll abstain, I didn't read them.
Okay. So there's 7 of us, right? 601 approved. All right, any committee reports?
We just had a municipal building design committee today, 5:30, and we are going to be meeting, well, I won't be there, but on Tuesday with the select board, there'll be a, part of the select board meeting, there'll be a joint meeting. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is to get the select board to determine what is our next step, since we didn't pass the Ritter Town Hall renovation, didn't get passed. What do we want to do? Do we want to just bring it up again? Do we want to make adjustments? Do we want to do other things? We talked about that at the meeting, which will probably be, you can see it probably tomorrow, some things. We also asked if the superintendent, because some of it is, what about the school department? What do they think? If the superintendent could be at that also. So we're going to see if we can invite the superintendent to that select board meeting so that we can have some input. But right now, we're not really sure. My hope is that we can get some guidance and some clarification and then move ahead, whether it means that we go back to the drawing board or maybe make some alterations, maybe to the Ritter in this building, or maybe leave it the way it is and try to go through it again. The other part that we really want to do is to figure out if it's our job or it should be somebody else's job to have a long-term view of the buildings and renovations. So what about Turkey Hill? What about TCP? And what about the timing of that? What about the primary school? What's going to happen in 5 to 10 years when we're going to need some resources, major resources into those buildings? We kind of know roughly what kind of things we'll probably need, or we should be planning for those things. We're not really doing that municipal buildings committee, but that would be nice if that was there. And also being presented as a long-term plan, maybe like the master plan was, something long-term. Doesn't mean we have hard numbers, but this is kind of generally what we see.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I know going into town meeting, you know, I put together that one spreadsheet. It really looked out almost 40 years, I think, or 50 years.
Yeah.
And for, I think, buildings, you may need to have a 50-year kind of plan on that.
Right.
Because, you know, they're so expensive, you know, you take out 30, 40-year loans against them, so that makes a lot of sense.
And $100 million for a school building now, it's, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, they're talking when's going to be the first billion-dollar school, and that's a potential.
Probably going to be Newton or Wayland or
Yeah.
Newton South.
Yeah.
Newton.
Yeah.
Newton accepted the challenge.
Did they have, I mean, they built a high school a number of years ago, and it was so expensive. People, and it, I mean, it was probably cheap. We go like, oh, it was, you know, 50 million or something, but it was crazy expensive.
Yeah. I think there's like one in, I want to say Jamaica Plain, but it may not be, where it's approaching over $500 million, right?
That is, I know that school building.
So,
And didn't the Lexington one just cost more than $500,000 too?
I know Marshfield and Hingham's, their new schools over the last 10 years. I mean, they're beautiful schools.
Right.
But they were well over, they were almost $100 million.
One of the things the state has to discuss is the wages plans. You have to, when you're doing public money, you have to pay prevailing wage. And I've been involved in a number of buildings, not town, but we've got government money. And it's more expensive to do it with government money, but you get government money, and you know, what's in the, you know, it's just costs the town and it costs the state and the not-for-profits, all that, just more money to do these things, and is it worth it? And I know it's very difficult because it's unions and it's, you know, all that stuff, so, but it is a discussion that needs to be had. I don't know if that's on our list of things we can talk to our, you know, to our senators and congressmen about it at the state level.
yep.
It's a very, I'm sure they don't want to talk about it.
All right, any other committee reports? All right, actions and topics for future meetings. So we talked about town finance policies, the first half of it. And that's on July 24th. I think I'm unavailable on the 24th. Any other topics that folks want to talk about at that one?
I think we should start thinking about our submission policy. Remember, we talked about this, you know, at the end of the year. Chris, I think this is basically on you, like, when towns are submitting things, we're not going to wait until the very last second and have these 7-hour meetings, that we want to move those dates a little bit further up.
Oh,
so that
yeah,
we
the
have a little bit
calendar.
more time.
The budget schedule?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if I'll be ready for that for the 24th, but
Yep.
I'd like to be there for that one. I will,
Yeah, you do all the work on it. So, yeah,
Well-
you should be there.
and I want to make sure Jen kind of has I'll work with Jen
Yep.
a little bit on that.
So future
Yep.
meeting.
Yep. Okay. We will need a reorganization meeting, which will also get into committee assignments and all that kind of stuff. So I will probably put that on for the August meeting. You guys had the quickest swearing in ever, I think, right?
It was great. Well, they already know us. Would it be a good idea to talk about anything that I think we should align when we go to these, I call them tri-wizard meetings, but really it's not. Align kind of on what we want to talk about and hear from multiple members of this committee.
Sure.
So maybe use the meeting prior to one of those meetings coming up to talk about things that maybe we want to bring up as a committee.
Okay.
And, it would be nice if all voices could be heard. I know some of you don't like to speak, but there's some really good ideas that come out, when everybody participates.
So I guess my initial thought will be I'll put tri-board on each of the agendas, and the one that comes after the tri-board meeting will be a retrospective, and then
So a debrief and
a looking forward on the other ones. So I'll just keep that probably under old business or something.
okay.
But I'll try to put the topics. Okay. Okay, that's good. Important dates, the next tri-board is August 26th, then September 30th, October 14th. Finance Committee in 2 weeks. We will have a quorum, otherwise everyone else is available. All right. And Jean, you're good with setting up Zoom and all that kind of stuff? And the hardest part is monitoring the waiting room. Right. Is there any public comment from the public? Wait a second. All right, any public comment from the committee? All right, with that, at 7:42, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second?
Second?
All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you all.